this point in time, we're about at our time to bring our honoree up, but let me just quickly say that every year the Ronald Reagan Club always looks for a candidate that best fits our great President Ronald Reagan, and I think obviously we found that person this year. I mean, he's a terrific guy. He's a founder of a terrific organization, and everybody in it is terrific. I had the honor and privilege of working with him on some campaigns and many other things, along with the rest of the CSA group, and they're unbelievable people, and they're real fired up, and they mean business. And you know, you want to talk about hope and change. I don't know about that guy in the White House, but this man has brought hope and change for us. Who better also to honor a guy who actually got to interview Ronald Reagan? Yes, he did, and it's a terrific story he shared with me once, and maybe he'll share it with you someday. You know, he's also a great communicator. I've seen Stephen speak many times, and he always gives a terrific speech. He really does. I had him at one of my meetings. He spoke for about 10-15 minutes. He was terrific. And then I go to Art. I said, Art, maybe you remember. I said, Art, do you got anything you want to say or add to that? And Art said, what are you kidding me? How can I possibly add anything to what you just said? That's, you know, he's terrific. You know, at this point in time, Stephen, I think it's time that you come up here and receive your Gipper Award. Stephen Flanagan, congratulations.
I got to thank Conrad because and I try not to take what I do that seriously, because if you take things seriously and you get disappointed a lot. We've always had high ideals at the Conservative Society for Action because we always thought that we wanted, you know, to make the kind of change that was necessary. And I mean change back. And I'll tell you, it's such an honor to be here, Bob. You've done a great job with the club. We've worked together. And we've been involved in a lot of political clubs and a lot of political organizations. And these guys really care. Because what makes them different is they're an independent type of a club, which is what we tried to do. As Conrad said, I was involved politically for a lot of years. I spent 22 years as a committeeman. I gave it up about 15 years ago because we weren't getting anywhere. Well, what the heck, like Conrad said, I got 6 kids to worry about. So I figured that's what I'm going to go back and take care of and spend my time with that and take care of business. Look back to '94. Republicans come in, take over the House of Representatives, balance the budget. Everything's great, right? Let's all go home. And I did. And I was one of those people that went home thinking that we had the answer. But of course we were wrong. 12 years later, deficits. This federal government Ponzi scheme. I mean, we can go through the whole thing, but I'm speaking to the choir. You know what the problems were. But one thing Conrad said was true. I knew it then and I've known it now. Ronald Reagan was probably the greatest president we've ever had. His philosophy about government, about business, is what we have to get back to. I remember just starting my business out back then, and I remember listening to Ronald Reagan when he came in there. All of us with gray hair remember how bad it was. Inflation rate 18%. Lines on the gas pumps. You couldn't pay a mortgage. You know, it was just crazy. It was just a horrible time. And Reagan came in there and he says, what did he say? Government's not the answer to our problem. Government is the problem. Well, when did we get away from that? By the way, that interview that Conrad was talking about, I actually brought an old copy of this. In my original interview with Ronald Reagan. At that time, I was a cub reporter for a couple of trade magazines and things like that. This guy was talking about deregulation, on, getting back to free enterprise. But the headline for the article that I wrote was "Reagan Blasts Government Interference in Business and Artificial Economic Stimulus." Well, what's changed? For 8 years we had it right. Longest and expanding time of economic prosperity in America's history. How come the other side doesn't learn? I don't get it. But I remember sitting with Reagan that day. It was great. And you just talk about sitting with somebody who could bring the kind of inspiration you needed to think that you really could make a change, that you could make a difference as an individual. As a small business owner back then, I felt like I was a hero. I felt like that I was the backbone of the country. I didn't have a big business. I had literally a small business, a dozen people at the most I've ever employed. But I knew that if I did what I did and other businesses did what they did, that this country would prosper and go on. And Ronald Reagan had the kind of mentality that brought that forward. And all I've seen in the last 20 years is the erosion of that. The assault on small business. The assault on entrepreneurism. One of the articles Conrad was talking about is, we have to stop apologizing for free enterprise and freedom. We have to stop apologizing for it, and we have to take action to get it back. The concept of industrial development. Got my friends from Isotan over here. Hope you guys win this election coming up. We'll be working hard for you. We've got to get back. We've got to get back that message. We've got to get back that ideology. We have to get that back. If we don't, we're going to lose our country. A lot of people ask me why we do this. Conrad gave you a pretty good idea of why we started it. We were mad. We were mad as hell, as the old saying goes from the movie, and we didn't want to take it anymore. Well, my dad brought me up in a very simple way. It's easy to complain. And he always said to me, don't complain unless you're ready to do something about it. And I had been complaining for a couple of years, and we finally got together and said, you know what, it's time to do something. It's kind of ironic, but we went out and we promoted our organization, we promoted what we were doing. We started all off by sending out 80,000 emails to people that we thought were conservative of mind. And we got our first response. Now this is a time when the Conservative Society for Action had 2 members, me and Conrad. That was it. So we're all very excited. We worked months and months and months to put the website together, to get us, get our editorial profile together, to be ready for it. And we went out and we sent out 80,000 emails. And the first response we got was that, thanks a lot for sending this email. Just what we need, another conservative blog. He said, I had to fumigate my inbox on my email after I received your message. Those are the kind of people that we have out there. Those are the kind of people on the other side. They're not open-minded. They actually do hate small business. They do hate entrepreneurship. This concept of income redistribution is very real. But I'll tell you, we got about 500 members in the first month, just by going out there and having that website and coming out with a simple message that we have to get back to the ideals that made America a great country. And America is not an accident of history. We sit there and we have a president who's running around and he's apologizing for America's success. Why? Why should we apologize? Our ancestors came here from countries all around the world. Why did they come? They came here because they wanted a better country. They wanted the things to be better for their families. They wanted to live in a place that was better than the rest of the world. And guess what? They came here and they built that country. They built a country that is better. And we have to get past any of this concept that we need to apologize for it. We should be proud of it and we need to fight for it. And that's what we intend to do. That's the basic concept of what the Conservative Society for Action is. And our methodology has been simple. We're going to hold elected officials accountable, because it doesn't seem like the parties do. The press certainly doesn't. They cover for incompetence. They cover for scandal. I don't know. I don't want to get too flowery in my language. But if you really want to know what I think, meet me at the bar later. All right? But we can no longer allow this to happen. There has to be watchdogs. There has to be groups out there. There have to be people out there who are watching. So that when somebody's elected, they do the job that they were elected to do. And the only way you hold an elected person accountable is if they don't do the job, you throw them out of office. That's what our organization is designed to do. So everybody needs to throw the bums out. That's right. That's our motto. All right? We've done almost 300 rallies. We've got over 5,000 members. We've been involved in dozens of campaigns. We're going to get involved in dozens more. But the bottom line is this. We're expecting more for our elected officials. We're going to hold their feet to the fire. And it doesn't matter if they're on our side or that side or whatever side. We don't really care. We see people who are Democrats, Republicans, Independents, Conservatives. We want them to do the job. But the key operative word for us is conservative. We need to get back to conservative ideals. We need to do it through our actions. We need to do it through our expectations. And we don't just need to do it at the ballot box. We have to volunteer. We have to be involved in these organizations and involved in getting these people elected. Now, since we're up in Huntington, I just want to make one shout out, which is very important. All right, Arthur Scally is our Huntington coordinator. He's been the point man up here in the Huntington area. Now, we got some races coming up here in Huntington. We'd like to grab a couple of town board seats. And I hope we can all get it together between the Conservatives and the Republicans so that we can get a united ticket so we can go out there and get Mark a little help out there. It's the first time we've had a Republican vote there in about 8 years. Wouldn't it be nice, Mark, to get a second on one of your motions sometime? This man's all alone. He's all alone on the board. He needs help. And guess what? If we can pick up 2 seats, we can take control of that board. It's important that we do that. And before I'm not going to go too much longer, Bob, don't worry. I want to thank, also, all those people that stood up and became members of the Conservative Society for Action. Any of the members that are here tonight, I'd like you all to stand up, please. I want everybody to take a look at who these people are and who's been doing the work out here and has been backing up the campaigns. We have some of the most dedicated people out there who believe in this country, who believe America's a great place, and they're willing to put their time and action into it. Now, we've had our rallies, we've had our things, we've had some pretty good confrontations, would you say? SEIU Union last summer in the heat of the healthcare debate decided that they were going to have a rally out in Hicksville. A big rally, newspaper, press all over the place. There were a couple hundred of them. We did a little call out to our membership. Guess what? The SEIU is out. They want Obamacare. They want to socialize 1/5 of our economy. I don't want to say they're the enemy because they're our fellow Americans. They're just misguided. But they decided to have a rally. And about 500 to 600 CSA members and other patriots showed up that day. And we went toe-to-toe with those people, and we took that power away from them, and we met them squarely. In another case, I remember Elise Eldon was here earlier, and Bob Croce works in Lee's office, and thank you for coming tonight as well. I know Lee had to leave early. But that was one of the most important campaigns that we had in the last couple of years, because we lost control of the New York State Senate. And in the 1 year we lost control of the Senate, they raised the New York State budget 9.5%. We got the MTA tax to death. Basically, they destroyed our state in 2 short years. But we had to fight. We had to defeat Brian Foley, who was running then, as a deciding vote for the MTA tax and that huge increase. Could not have passed without that. Well, Cuomo decided to come down. They were getting a little desperate. They wanted to keep the Senate. So Cuomo comes down. He says, you know what, I'm going to go out and have a nice press conference for Brian Foley. I'm going to come out there and, you know, make the people know and pay attention that this is the guy we have to have. So they had a nice press conference inside. News 12 was there. The press was there. And he made his speech and all that kind of stuff. And if you watch the news coverage, it was kind of interesting. You know, gubernatorial candidate Andrew Cuomo's down to support the candidacy of Brian Foley. They interviewed Mr. Foley. Oh, I just want to thank the governor coming down. You know, it's good that he's here. It's not a sign of weakness on the part of my campaign. I just think it's a sign of unity. Then the camera switched to outside. It switched to outside. There were about 300 people holding up signs. Everything from, I can't say that. And basically they interviewed a couple of our people. And I know Susie, where's the Susie? There you are. Susie had one of the great lines. As the camera comes up to her, she's holding her sign. What does the sign say?
Oh, exfoliate.
Exfoliate. And they put the microphone in her face, and you know, why are you here? She says, because Brian Foley is a loser. Couple more interviews down the line, and comments like, you know, he's the MTA tax, he's high tax Foley, he's this, he's that, he's that. We took the entire visit of Cuomo coming down here to support this candidate and turned it into a huge negative for him. And of course, we all know what happened. Foley's history, and now Zeldin was elected to Senate. I want to thank the members of CSA in that particular campaign. It was extremely important because we volunteered there. We had dozens and dozens of people there every day. Nancy Gamby. Is Nancy here tonight? Nancy. You're there. You're right. Oh, there you go. Nancy, come on. I'm sitting in my seat. Nancy sat there and she was our volunteer coordinator. Not a volunteer coordinator for one campaign, but a dozen campaigns. And when there was a campaign out there that needed help, they needed a phone bank, they needed someone to carry petitions, carries materials, walk an election district, we were able to provide those people. Now we intend to do the same thing going forward, but we want to make sure one thing is clear to the parties, not just in Huntington, but Islip and Brookhaven and every place else. We're only going to work for solid, conservative candidates. I just want to make sure that we know that going in, because we're going to be meeting as an executive committee, and we can't be in all of 60 or 70 campaigns, all local campaigns this year. We're going to be going out there, going to be picking those candidacies and those campaigns that we feel we can have an impact for people that we can support. So I'm just going to urge the party leaders to get together and talk and make sure that the people that you select to run are people that we can support, because we feel it's important that we make sure that the conservative part of this, of the future of this country is taken advantage of. Now again, I just want to thank everybody tonight. I'm very proud of the CSA. I'm proud of the Ronald Reagan Republican Club. And I can tell you, there's no greater honor, like Conrad said. Like I said, I've known him since 2nd grade. Thank God he didn't say some of the other stories, but I do remember one case where it was the, anybody remember Jim Buckley, United States Senator? Only enrolled conservative to be elected to the New York State, the U.S. Senate from New York. And I was in political science class. And everybody, you know, you got to pick a campaign and do a prediction and all that kind of stuff. Well, I picked Jim Buckley. What the hell? Everybody remember his bumper stickers? It was actually the American flag. That's the kind of candidate he was. So I did my report, and I did my analysis, and I did my study, and I did a statistical review and all that kind of stuff. And I had to present it before the class. And I concluded that Jim Buckley was going to win the United States Senate race by a percentage of, I don't know, 47 point whatever the hell it was. There were two other candidates in the race. So you could win with a minority vote that time. The liberals split themselves up or whatever the hell they did. And I remember making that presentation and saying that Jim Buckley would be the next senator from New York. And I was booed by my classmates because I had the audacity to come out and say that I was supporting a conservative candidate. That's the kind of history that we had. That's the kind of place we grew up. Well, it didn't scare us then. It's not going to scare us now. We want to continue the fight. I want to thank everybody for coming here tonight. It's a tremendous honor, especially to stand before this banner with that man's picture up there. And just a quick note, we're expanding what we're doing at CSA. We've done a couple of things over the last 2 years to expand beyond our general membership base. We actually created an organization called CSA Next Generation. It's a group of college students and high school students that are now forming organizations on college campuses. We've already had meetings where we've invited conservative speakers to come in at Stony Brook University and St. Joseph's College and some others. This movement is taking off. We have to get in the college level. We have to get down there. And like Conrad said before, I said the same thing when we launched the Next Generation to the high school and college kids. I said, just understand that with anybody with gray hair like me, our generation is stealing from you. And you need to get mobilized and energized at that level to make sure that the students in your schools, which, you know, that's a whole other story, what's going on in the schools. We also have an organization called Take Back Our Schools campaign, which is on Meetup if anyone wants to get involved with that. School elections are coming up. But we're also doing one other thing. For any business people that are here tonight, we're starting the CSA Business Alliance. And all I would ask you is, before you leave tonight, if you're interested in getting involved with that. And again, this is a move to get business back here on Long Island. When I was growing up, the industrial development administrations were the biggest parts of our governments. They bend over backwards for the jobs, bend over backwards to get business into the communities. It's gone. It's gone. Months and months to get permits and inspections and all this crazy stuff. John Janot's running for, he's running out in Brookhaven town. He's running for legislature, Suffolk legislature. A small business owner, restaurant. He owns a restaurant, a fine establishment with a long history and track record of success. He wanted to open up an ice cream shop. It took him 8 months. 8 months to get a permit. This is a guy who already runs a business establishment, already is in a food service establishment, and can't get a permit to open up an ice cream shop that only runs for 3 or 4 months. It's unbelievable. This is what we're up against. That has to change. Now, again, any business people, if you can, you know, I don't want to sit here and do a membership drive, but I will. That's important. It's important that we get that business alliance going. Any business people, stop over at this table over here and we'll take care of that. And I just want, and I have one other thing, all right? I know the food's on the table, mine's right there. One person has helped me from the beginning here that's been instrumental in this whole, in running this operation, all right? And it's Judy Pepinella. There's no way I can do what I do without her assistance. She is our statewide coordinator and our national coordinator. She's in touch with the national and state organizations around the state. We actually do have statewide communications with groups like ours everywhere and nationally. We've gotten involved in statewide politics. We're supporting the 2% tax cap. We have a bus ride up to Albany. We're going to be doing that kind of work coming up in the coming weeks. But that's all being coordinated, not just here, but we are coordinating out of our office here what's going around in the rest of the state. So the organization's done very well, and she's very much responsible for that. As a matter of fact, there's another presentation of an award coming up, and it's going to be on May 24th in Albany, where they're going to be honoring Judy Pepinella as one of the female leaders in Albany State. Now, anybody who's up in Albany around that time, if you want to, we get to do this again sometime. And again, I just want to thank everybody tonight. Let's grab some food, and any questions, I'll meet you at the bar.
Thank you, Stephen. One more Crank it!
Crank it up!
That's the theme song.
Right.
Just real quickly,
no way
we're
we're
gonna take a 10-minute break.
This is alright.
You can eat our
This
cold
is
steaks. So
awesome.
we'll be back in 10 minutes. We'll do the proclamations and we'll find out who's our